now, the official Lions podcast. Matt Baker and Nick Kowalski. And we're remote today, recovering a little bit from Grey Cup weekend, Grey Cup festivities. We'll talk about all that. We're normally broadcasting inside the Go-Goat Sports Studios at the Wall Center with our good friends Sakaris and Price. We'll aim to be back there early next week, but kind of the first real official postseason edition of the podcast. And Nick, are you still recovering? What's going on?
Yeah, it feels a little strange to have a week with no football, or anticipating no football with nothing going on in the CFL this weekend in terms of game action. But it was still good to be out there in Regina this week. And again, not the circumstances we wanted to be there under, but it was still a fun weekend to celebrate the Canadian game.
And we had fun. And in case you did not catch it, you can check our last two. Did 2 episodes. Milestone for this podcast, Nick. First time we ever did back-to-back days, I think. And it was fun. We had Coach Rick Campbell. We talked to Tanya Walter. We talked to the Moj. The Moj made his long-anticipated debut on First and Now. Very, very hard gets. Very tough gets, but we got them. And the hospitality to everyone at the Cooperator Center where Lions Den was held. I had an absolute blast, Nick. Meeting a lot of our great fans. So many people coming up to us saying that they love the content, love the podcast. It's a tribute to the work everybody on our team does. Myself, yourself, Stephen Chang, Liam Thompson, Alex Ruiz, Carolyn Cody. Heck of a job with her putting on the party. We kind of ducked into every other team party that we could, minus the Spirit of Edmonton, because they're always too cool to be on the same site as everybody else, it seems. But really, everyone did a great job, but I think Lions Den kind of took the cake.
Yeah, both nights was a lot of fun. I know on the Saturday night, I ended up staying there pretty much the entire night and had a blast. There's a lot of good CFL alumni there, even current CFL players that we ended up chatting with, and all other fans ended up chatting with. So that's the type of people you get at the Grey Cup festivities. And yeah, Lions Den was a lot of fun. Good music too.
Great music. Fog Dog, outstanding hits, outstanding tunes. And yeah, really, pretty much both nights we were in there, you had Damon Allen hanging out. You had Alfred Jackson, a big hero from the 2000 Grey Cup, just hanging out, having a good time. Alfred now I believe he's a corrections officer in Las Vegas. And just wanted to come up and have a good time. Yeah, really, that's what the Grey Cup is all about. And I'm with you. Like Saturday night, I was kind of the mind, I'm going to get out of here for a bit. I'm going to go check out Ryderville. Because, again, we were at the Stamps House. We were at the party, Atlantic Schooners, the Eastern Social Hall. But I think Ryderville kind of just got too busy. They stopped letting people in. So I was like, you know what? I'm fine with that. I'm going back to Lions Den. And we had a great time. So we look forward to being in Hamilton next year, hopefully. Knock on wood, as the Western participant, because tell you what, you and I both went down to the field to see some of the Toronto Argonauts trophy presentation, their celebration. And at first I was kind of meh on that. I was like, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to be down there when another team's celebrating and taking selfies with the cup, getting ready to sip beverages from the cup. But we did it. We spent about 20 minutes down there, and in retrospect, I'm glad we did that, because that just makes you more motivated to be there as a participant. How did you enjoy soaking that all in?
Yeah, 100%. I'm with you there. Definitely makes you want to, in my aspect, be able to cover that. See our players celebrating in that fashion. I got to catch up with a couple of people too on the field side there after that I hadn't seen all weekend, so I enjoyed that. Like I ran into Marshall Ferguson, for example, Peter Sorrellas, Kyle Scott, Colin Wuda. So those are for those who don't know, those are the CFL visual content team. So they all have their cameras out. So we were talking about all the shots they got during the game, and yeah, it just makes you a little jealous that they got to experience that moment and live in that moment, when it's a moment that we're all striving to get to with the BC Lions here.
Yeah, and really just kind of capped off an outstanding day. We got down to the stadium grounds early, did a couple of the tailgate parties, and Was able to watch as a fan, have a couple of adult beverages, and um, quickly let you know that Kent Perkins, Lions most outstanding offensive lineman in 2021, had a pretty good year this year too. Will join us on this episode. But first, before we get to KP, might as well recap the game. Recording this on a Wednesday, so it's been about 72 hours since the game was being played. But I've rewatched large snippets of it. Um, you can, first off, congratulations again in order to the Toronto Argonauts. Very well done. And we talked about it on our Saturday episode about how they're here to win this game. They weren't viewing themselves as the underdog. A lot of people were proclaiming them to be. But yeah, you can blame Mark Leggio. You can blame a couple of special teams miscues. But at the end of the day, every game comes down to 5 or 6 plays, not just one. And the Argonauts just made a couple more plays at the end of that game.
Yeah, crazy ending. The ultimate redemption story with Robbie Smith too, who ended up looked like he had the game-winning sack, and then 1 minute later he's the GOAT for taking that penalty that extends the Bombers' drive, and then another minute later he's the hero for blocking what would have been possibly Winnipeg's game-winning field goal. Although in my opinion, that field goal did look like it was going wide to the left. The counterpoint to that would be that a lot of Boris Beatty's field goals were kind of slicing left and then cutting right. So, but I thought that field goal was going wide regardless. Are you with me there?
Yeah, well, take it as he was lining up to make it, to attempt it, 47 yards, right? I mean, with all due respect,
no chip shot.
He's not making this. Like, remember, one of Winnipeg's 3 losses in the regular season, he had 2 chances, right? Including a chip shot at the end of regulation against Montreal. Going into the Western Final, when we went into there a couple weeks ago, that was one area where you could say the Lions had a definite advantage, place kicking. Unfortunately, didn't come down to that. Needed more than just a field goal to extend that game at the end. And we know how it ended. And this one, maybe the matchup was kind of a wash because Boris Beatty had a couple of significant misses, including a convert attempt in Toronto's loss to Winnipeg in week 3, week 4, whatever it was. So I did not have much faith that Mark Leggio was going to give them the lead. And there would have been lots of time left. There was, 54 seconds left? So even if he makes it, there still is, based on how Toronto was able to move the ball, pound the rock with Ouellette or Harris, whichever the running back they were choosing. Even with Chad Kelly in there, he demonstrated he was able to finish the job. If he made it, I think there was still a lot of time left. And it's a credit to Toronto's defense for not allowing Winnipeg to get closer and leaving some time on the clock in case they needed it for a potential game-winning drive.
Yeah, the Winnipeg's defense is another big storyline for me. I felt that we sort of talked about how in the 2019 and 2021 runs they had, it was more so the defense being the dominant force in November and ultimately leading them to those Grey Cup championships. But on Sunday, we saw Toronto, I think, get about 350 yards of offense. Winnipeg generated just 1 turnover. That was something they were doing 3, 4, 5 times a game in those playoff games those past 2 seasons. And without that defense really being that dominant force, it didn't allow Winnipeg to ultimately complete the three-peat. You mentioned Chad Kelly, though. That second down scramble, and we had seats around the 10-yard line in that end zone. So we could, from my vantage point, it's second and long. A lot of Toronto's receivers are going vertical because you have to get a longer completion for the first down, right? So you see that middle of the field completely open up, and Kelly just has the presence of mind to ultimately take off and run and get that first down. Just such a clutch play from a backup quarterback coming in spot duty in an intense moment.
And that, to me, was the turning point sequence. Toronto takes a holding penalty on a 2nd and 10, backs them up to 2nd and 20, right? So really, they gotta get like a screen or something to get into field goal range here, right? You're never thinking they're gonna convert like that in that situation. Willie Jefferson, though, jumps offside, makes it a bit more manageable. 2nd and 15. who knows what changes? Who knows if the play call changes on a 2nd and 20 and maybe they get a long completion, but that to me was a big turning point. Number 5, one of the best defensive players in the generation of Canadian football today. Heck of a player, heck of an individual, but he jumps, gives them 5 more yards, more breathing room, and as a result makes that first down a bit more attainable for Chad Kelly. Just list off everything that just happened in the final 5-6 minutes of that game. The Enoch Mwamba interception before the blocked field goal that would have given them a 4-point lead. Janarian Grant starts that quarter with doing what he does, a punt return touchdown. At that point, you're thinking, yeah, these guys are like RoboCop, these Blue Bombers. You can't kill them. You can wound them, but you can't kill them. But 9-point deficit overcome. Kudos to Ryan Dinwiddie, who I know a lot of people have been critical of. And even in his own market, that was a guy midway through the season. People were questioning whether that they should keep him. But now he's a Grey Cup champion.
Yeah, seeing that Janarian Grant return live was a little traumatic, given that the experiences we had with him this season. So yeah, it did feel like that the game was under wraps at that moment. But Winnipeg really couldn't move the ball again. And another key play in this game was Dakota Prukop on a 2nd and short, dropping back to pass and throwing the ball, 30 yards downfield, only to be intercepted by the Argonauts. So that was kind of a confusing play. Yeah. You hear in sports a common term for offenses that kind of do too much is getting too cute with it. And I think that falls right into that category where Prukop, against us, he ran the ball hard. Been running it hard all season. He's been a great gadget quarterback for them, but in terms of a deep passer, still unproven, right? So that was, in my opinion, that was just a play where Winnipeg got a little too greedy with it, and it costed them.
Yep, going for the kill and didn't ultimately get it done. So Toronto's defense played a big role in keeping them in that game with those opportunities. So congratulations to Toronto. Congratulations to Regina. We talked about it again on the weekend recordings. Excellent job as a host. I know it took a few extra years. They were originally supposed to host in 2020, and that just threw the schedule all out of whack, but well worth the wait. Lots of volunteers there, everyone with a smile on their face. And again, we look forward to different circumstances in Hamilton in 2023. Kent Perkins to join us on First and Now coming up. And we've tracked him down, joining us from his estate, the big balcony close to the practice facility, is Kent Perkins. You know him as well as KP. And Kent, we're about 10 days into it, 9 days into it. What's that off-season crumb down like? It goes from football to a little more relaxed real quick, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It's good to take some time for your body, take your time to see the family, take some time just to relax a little bit. I don't usually take too much time off from the football field, from the weight room, but I try to just, keep my strength maintained. But no, it feels good. It feels good. Unfortunately, I do feel how I feel about the loss against Winnipeg, but it feels good to wind down.
I was going to say, you've had about 10 days to reflect now. We will look back on this as a good season, but never 100% successful unless you're the one hoisting the cup. But, looking back on it, how would you sum up this season overall, KP?
It was amazing, man. I had such, it was so much fun being with the guys and just competing, and the progress we made from last year to now, it feels good. Um, but yeah, I'm proud of what we accomplished as a team, and I wanna get better to better help my team get to where we need to get to.
Before I turn it over to young Nick here for his first round of questions, you mentioned, we were talking earlier about how you're pretty much sticking around outside of a week going back home to Texas. I mean, what does that say about how all in you and a lot of the guys who wouldn't otherwise live here are about staying around and training together toward making that next step?
I think that says a lot because the more you spend and the more time we grind together, um, I feel like that makes us better. I feel like even as a unit, the more reps you get with guys, the more time you spend with them, the closer that bond becomes. You 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 work harder unconsciously. So um, yeah, I'm working with some guys right now in the weight room. Sook, Pete, we be getting after it in the gym. So it's fun.
And we should use this as a recruiting tool too, because you talked about the bond that this offensive line has now, but the fact that it's November 23rd and you're on your balcony in Canada just hanging out, that's an only in Vancouver thing. We were in Regina last week. There's zero chance you could have done that there. So the Vancouver
Yeah,
winter is much better.
yeah. I'm used to the heat, but I don't mind the cold. But it's not too bad right now. I know the guys tell me it's going to get a lot colder in February and January, but it's not too bad right now.
That was final too. A big deal was made about the weather. Often is in November in Canada when it comes to the Grey Cup playoffs. But as an offensive lineman, there's always a mentality that you can't wear sleeves or you got to face the cold and all of that. Is that something that you mentally deal with, or is it something that you already have that figured out before you even go out there?
Yeah, it's honestly like it's you got to do what you got to do to get the job done, right? So if you want to wear sleeves, you wear sleeves. As long as you do your job and um, you make the team better, right? Um, I wear sleeves, so um, but yeah,
Without shame, I like it because I feel that like if you're playing on turf even too, right? Like even like that turf burn doesn't feel good. So if I was out there, I'd be wearing sleeves. I'd be wearing sleeves in July. But um,
yeah.
the season you guys had, yeah, the season you guys had as a group though, you guys obviously made a big step this season. Is there any like one reason that you can, or multiple reasons that you think of to why this group as a unit really improved in 2022?
I say we hold each other accountable. We don't make excuses for when we make mistakes. We we hold each other accountable in that room. So we got a lot of leaders in that room. Figs, Soot, and um, yeah, we hold each other accountable. We work hard. We every day after practice, you can catch us in there watching film, trying to critique ourselves, and just trying to make each other better. Yeah.
And this season, Joel Figueroa earned the title as the 2022 team's most outstanding offensive lineman, the title that you actually got in your first season with the BC Lions. But a guy like Joel Figueroa, having him around, he's the opposite tackle of you. What are some of the things you've picked up from him as a CFL veteran?
I would say I learned a lot from Fig. I learned a lot. I'm steady learning from him. I watch him. I watch him all the time. His aggression, I feel like he has a controlled aggression that's like unmatched. Uh, his physicality, his technique, his wits on the field. He's a smart player. He's a physical player, um, and I'm excited to actually work with him this off season. See if I can learn some things. He can teach me some things. But yeah, Fig is a great player, great athlete, great person off the field. Um, yeah.
We're going to shift gears a little bit. Great perspective on this season, but let's go back to your college days. You played at the University of Texas, the Longhorns, so the orange already suited you well before you came to BC.
Yeah.
Um, what was the most special about your time at Texas, Kent?
The most special thing at Texas, Texas. I enjoyed my years at Texas. It was fun. It was exciting. I still remember now running out onto the field, and you can't hear nothing but the crowd screaming. Stadium was huge. My favorite moments about Texas was running out during home games. The crowd is it was amazing. It's an experience I can't describe, but it really felt like a blessing. It's truly a blessing. I'm grateful to be able to say that I'm from UT. But yeah, man, just the tradition. The tradition is strong there. Um, I was blessed enough to have some great coaches to teach me, and yeah, my years there were amazing.
Couple of bowl games, right? Anything stand out from it was the Alamo Bowl and the Texas Bowl? Anything stand out from those two?
I say the Alamo Bowl was pretty cool. I believe we were in San Antonio, and um, that was actually my first time playing in a bowl game. So I experienced that. It was fun, uh, and being with the guys and getting we we got bowl gifts, which were awesome. Uh, but that whole experience was awesome. Um, Me and the guys, we did some haunted houses, and um, it's a great experience. It was a great experience. I still talk to a lot of those guys till this day. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, I heard some good things about San Antonio as a city. That's for sure. And you said you got gifts. What kind of gifts did you get for playing in that game?
so I got a recliner chair, a huge recliner chair, and it's funny because I've had the recliner chair for since then. It was 2015, I believe, but it was a huge recliner chair, and I want to say maybe 3 years ago, me and my dog was sitting on a chair, and the chair broke. So yeah, I don't have that chair no more. But yeah, that was one of the gifts that I got.
Or say you keep doing squats and deadlifts with Fig and Sook, and that's bound to happen, right?
Eventually, yeah.
That's very cool.
Kent. One thing I noticed this season, and it's not like me and Matt and the content guys. We're not in the locker room 24/7, but we're around the team on bus rides and all of that. And I found that in terms of teams alma mater, or players alma maters, there's a lot of the Pac-12 guys, especially, I've picked up is they're talking on the buses about, hey, our team, like UCLA just beat Stanford last night, and like rubbing it in. Is that something you partake in with your Longhorns beating up on some of your teammates' colleges?
I do, I do. I want to say me and Pete usually bigger about it a lot with Rice and me and Jarrell because Jarrell went to Baylor, and we're we're both 2-2 against each other. So we always talk about who's a better team. We always talk about that back and forth. And I always tell them like, my senior year we beat y'all, but I always give them stuff over that. But yeah, it's all good fun.
So from Texas, you go to the Cincinnati Bengals, a little bit of time on the active, and then maybe one of the things that led you here, 2020 St. Louis Battlehawks of the XFL. That was a brief experience, but tell me, how much fun, how much crazy was being part of XFL 2020?
It was so I will say this. That's the most fun. Like I had so much fun playing the XFL. Going to St. Louis. I think that same year the Rams they moved. So we got a lot of love from the fans when we would play home games. It reminds me a lot of this year with celebrating the end zone with the team with your teammates when you score. It was exciting. It was fun. Unfortunately, it got cut short due to COVID, which sucks. But um, it was a good time. It was definitely one of my favorite memories playing for the Battlehawks.
Yeah, I enjoyed. It's funny, we small sample size, like I said, but I enjoyed watching those games. We've lost Kent's picture. Are you still there, Kent?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, you're still here. We just don't have your picture on there. I don't know if did you turn it off, or I don't know if it's your connection or.
Maybe my connection.
Okay, if Trev still got him, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, well, I'll just keep going here. I remember your interview with Stephen Chang for an article he wrote, and he mentioned in there that you're a big soul food guy, and you were having some trouble finding some good soul food in Vancouver. How was that quest lately, Kent? Were you able to find anything?
Well, I found some really good fried chicken. I would say it's a place called Download Chicken Shack. They serve hands down. That's the best chicken I had since I've been down here. It's spicy. It's good. You know, they give you huge portions, but as in like sweet potatoes and collard greens, and I got to make that myself. So
You're not a Chico's guy. I know a lot of the team here like the Chico's chicken on King
Chico's
George.
chicken, yes, I love Chico's chicken. Chico's chicken, yes, I've been there a couple times. Yeah, Chico's chicken is really good. I would say that's my second favorite place.
How's your cooking? You a good cook? Are you one of the best cooks on the whole line? How's that work?
I would definitely sound the best cook on the whole line. Well, I know
What's your
Sook
favorite?
is good at Sook is good at barbecue. I know Sook barbecues a lot. I cook basic stuff though. I cook chicken breasts, rice, potatoes. I keep it real simple. But if I do want to do something different, I fry some chicken up, and I'm a beast. I'm a beast in the grill. So
We look forward to the invite. Before I turn it back over to Nick quickly, what is your favorite dish? What is your specialty? Is it the chicken? What's your favorite?
my favorite dish to make, I would have to say steak. I love steak with mashed potatoes, asparagus, and mac and cheese. That is my favorite. Ribeye steak.
Mhm. While we have you, Kent, I wanted to ask you about the competition in the CFL, and you being in this league for 2 years now. You're also someone, like you said, who's been in the XFL briefly. Um, has it been any sort of surprise to see like the talent level of like a Lorenzo Malden or a Sean Lemon who had double-digit sacks, or Willie Jefferson, another guy that you have to go against a bunch? Can you just speak to the talents of defensive linemen in this league as well?
I say I say this. A lot of defensive linemen in this league have different talents, um, and they're all different, but they're similar in a lot of ways. Also, when it comes to their technique, when it comes to their rush moves that they that they prefer to use, um, that's something that I really picked up on. That guys will stay with their best pass rush moves and use those moves consistently throughout the year. Um, but I will say this is my first year. We didn't play this many games, so this is my first year playing this many games, and I have learned that you know, the D lineman guys like Sean Lemon, guys like Jeff Cole, Willie Jefferson. What they're really really good at is learning your weaknesses and your bad tendencies. Um, I would say they're students of the game. Uh, and it's a reason why they played in this league for so long. But yeah, I would say though I love going against those guys. I love the competition. I'm competitive. That's my nature. I love it, and I look forward to going against those guys again next year.
Hmm. And while you mentioned too the amount of games you played this season, I believe you started all 18 games at right tackle this year, another two in the playoffs. I'm assuming 20 starts is the most you've had in a single season in your
Yes, most
life.
definitely. Yes, I have. Yeah.
Is is there anything you got to do in terms of physically to allow yourself to be able to start 20 games? Like I don't know if that requires like stretching or anything else like that.
I think the biggest thing is mastering the mundane. My coach used to tell me that a lot when I was my high school coach told me that a lot. Just mastering the process, mastering the everyday process, because it can become, once you get late in the season, it can become very like stress on the body, a little bit stress on the mental, a little bit. It become tough, right? But mastering the process, mastering your everyday process, whatever you do to get ready for practice, mastering it, being the best at it. Um, your craft, your technique, taking that time to really watch yourself and make sure you maintain your technique, you know, throughout the season, throughout every day, taking it day by day.
Mm-hmm. And self scouting, I imagine, is something you guys do as a group too, right? I think the average fan, when they think of film prep, they think of, oh, you guys are looking at the 5 or 4 starting defensive linemen and the other blitzers that may come. But self scouting too is something that I'm imagining that Kelly Bates and the rest of the veteran guys in there have done an excellent job at this season as well, right?
Yeah.
Well said. This was a great conversation. You've made us hungry. We look forward to being at a steak dinner with you in the near future, KP. And it's great that you're sticking around too. I mean, hey, you're signed here long term, and that just shows your commitment and your dedication. And I'll tell you what, let's go for another 20 starts next year. Only a bye before the Western Final, and then the big one. All the
This
motivation we're playing for.
let's hope we get that bye before the big one.
Awesome. Thanks
Thanks,
for
Kent.
joining us, sir. Excellent stuff with Kent Perkins. And again, one of the major storylines, a big criticism in this league, too many short term contracts, too many 1-2 year deals. Well, we have Kent under wraps for at least 2 more. I think he signed a 3-year extension. So, KP, one of the good guys in this league, and Nick, that offensive line played a big role in helping Nathan break his records, in helping James Butler rumble for almost 100 yards and chew up a lot of clock in the Western semifinal. The work of that group, and we've had Kelly Bates on here a couple of times. Should be very well commended.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Kent's echoed pretty much what this entire group has said all year, is that having another full season as pretty much one unit together again, having that all go for them really helped with becoming more familiar, more comfortable with each other as a 5-man unit on the field. And um, they're a veteran group too now. Joel Figueroa on the other side of Kent, they're two of the best tackles in this league. So it's nice to have Kent back, and hopefully more of these guys can come back for 2023.
Yeah, and Neil, Rick working on all of that as we speak, right? A lot of work to be done. I'm sure they're putting some touches on getting coaches re-signed. I would have to think pretty much all the staff is back, but you never know. You never know what happens in Montreal and Ottawa, and if certain head coaches get hired and target some potential assistants on their staff. And yeah, not just from a Lions perspective, but this is the really fun part of the off season now, and we'll be here to chronicle it week by week. Let's take a couple minutes here to kind of tease what sort of content we have going, Nick. I know you spent a large chunk of your day on player exit day, team wind-up party, interviewing some of the key figures on what happened in 2022. Can you shed some light on what we're putting together, or we want to go in fresh? How do you want to do that?
Well, what I'll say is we talked about how special this group was and how special this season was overall, and it was a lot of fun. I'll go on record for saying that the BC Lions were the most fun team to watch, be a part of, all of that in 2022. So, yeah, Tuesday, I took it upon ourselves to kind of conduct our own little exit interviews with the players and just reminisce and go over some of the key moments, the key plays, some of the key emotions they felt in these moments, and we'll be revisiting a bunch of the key moments in 2022 for some good offseason content. And then while that was going on, we also did a lot of holiday stuff to see what the players are up to in their holidays and what activities they like getting into in their holidays. So we'll still be busy on our side.
Yeah, it's a year-round deal for us. 365 days. Oh, not quite. We will get away for some holiday time. There's always time for holidays. But yeah, I mean, at some point in the week between the West Final and the Grey Cup, at some point before we left, I was feeling kind of down, still kind of stinging a little bit. Just thinking about the reaction in the locker room after the loss and how, for as bright as the future is, it's never going to be 100% the same. Not a lot of guys in there are going to be back. There's going to be changes. That's how this league works. That's how pro sports works. But I found myself watching snippets of the 2 regular season wins in Calgary, and just unbelievable moments, and seeing the shots of VA on the bench and Pennywise, Lucha's doll, is sitting right next to him. Those are the moments you look back and laugh at, and really treasure forever. I mean, I've got the Western semifinal against Calgary on my PVR. That's staying there. I'll be watching snippets of that during the holiday break when I'm missing it, when I'm missing being down there on the sidelines, missing being in the fire. There's only one Grey Cup, we know that, but this team, in my heart, in 2022, they're champions in my heart. Didn't win it, but we're very much excited for the future. Not going to be easy. I mean, that's going to be the storyline, Nick, with this team. Day 1 in Kamloops coming up in May is now people know what you're capable of, and it can go one of 2 ways.
Yeah, you got to do it all over again. Unfortunately, you got to start from scratch. Your record's back to being 0-0. The good thing is everybody's 0-0 though. But those 3 Calgary games, as I just mentioned, we did sit down with Nathan Rourke, Vernon Adams, Brian Burnham, guys that all played huge roles in those 3 wins. So that's something to look forward to as well. And I believe the CFL and TSN, I believe they coined that 41-40 win the CFL game of the year over Grey Cup weekend, I was told. So the right choice in my opinion, because that just even thinking about that moment when we get the ball back down by 2 points and we're pinned in our own territory. And I remember looking, I was with Stephen Chang on the other side of the field because I was kind of expecting, okay, if they go deep here, I gotta be ready on the other side of the field. I don't want to miss it. And I was telling Steven, they're bringing this down. That we're winning. Like we're actually going to win this game. It was a crazy feeling to know how big that deficit was, and Nathan ultimately pulls through on that last drive, and Sean White as well.
Brian Burnham, Lucky Whitehead with some huge 3rd down plays in that quarter just to keep it alive, and ultimately, really, the difference between playing that semifinal game here or going back to dreaded
snowy Calgary, snowy too.
Oh God, could you have imagined the weather questions that week?
Yep, it would have been much worse. It would have actually been a factor.
It was still pretty bad, but yeah, it would have it would have definitely been much more of a annoying storyline. But hey, remember, the Calgary Stampeder players told Farhan Lalji they wanted to come to BC Place, so that's on the record. That's maybe that tells you even the home team doesn't love playing in the snow. Maybe not. Like maybe it affected everybody.
Well, I saw a clip. James Butler posted his kind of year in review post on Instagram, and one of the clips he posted was a coach on Calgary in that playoff game, pretty much pointing at BC's bench or our bench and saying, 24 is playing like a beast right now. He's like, you guys got to match that. And ultimately they didn't, because James Butler was a man on a mission that day. And he said afterwards that he took those comments personally about Calgary's running attack and all the light being on them. And he's another guy that it'd be really nice to have back wearing the orange and black next season.
Absolutely. A lot of great memories, but we'll strive towards preparing for 2023. I'd imagine in the next few weeks we'll have a schedule coming out, so maybe that's some more content to tease. We'll try to do something with a schedule reveal video, but it's on to 2023. First and Now is on Twitter at First and Now. Make sure you subscribe, rate, leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. I am at BakesTakes84. He is at Nick_Kowalski, Nick with a K, no C, Kowalski the regular way. And as mentioned, we're not going anywhere. There's no off season as far as this podcast is concerned, so we will aim to be back inside the Wall Center, Go Goat Sports, Monday or Tuesday of next week. Shoot for an early week recording. Stick with the winning formula. And until then, we'll talk then on First and Now.